Hi students, this is Jamie, and a few people emailed me and asked me if I would make a short podcast just giving some more general information about the review. I know that both of the lab instructors do a fantastic job of giving you a review on Saturday, but I'll do the best I can to give you a little bit more specifics of what to study. So the exam is worth 80 points, and there are 27 multiple choice questions, and they're each worth 2 points each. There are 6 short answer questions. The exam covers range of motion, chapter 9, bed mobility, chapter 10, chapter 11, horizontal transfers, and on chapter 12, it just covers page 300 and 301 only. So there's just 2 questions on the exam from chapter 12. And there's only 2 to 3 questions on the exam from chapter 7 on positioning, because positioning is better taught in the lab. It just works really well. The lab instructor will say, show me how you would position someone who's had a right CVA. Show me how you would position a left CVA, right hemi patient, supine or sideline. Show me how you would position a total hip patient, posterior approach on the right side. Show me how you would position a above knee amputee patient. So it really works well to demonstrate and to practice and to go through that in lab. So there isn't any, there's only 2 to 3 questions on the exam that come from the positioning chapter. In our course, there's a page with specifics to study. For each of the chapters, I've given you some learning objectives and really told you which ones are covered in lab as a hands-on skill and which ones are covered more on the exam. I've listed some page numbers and some tables to look at. So it's very important that you go through those, as well as I have posted a practice quiz online for you as well. And I think you've already figured out in this first procedures classes, I do these practice quizzes so that you can quiz yourself. They're not worth any points, but some of them are the same questions that you will see on the exam. And it's a great way for you to study, to kind of see what the questions will look like, and to get yourself ready so that there's, it's always nerve-wracking. That first exam is always hard to know, how does an instructor ask me questions from material from a procedures class? And those quizzes are meant to help you. So take them as many times as you need to. The one thing you're going to notice is when you answer the short answer questions, I used to have, as soon as you submit it, it would give you the key and tell you the right answer. Well, there was a number of faculty that felt that I was giving away the answers, that the students would then not read the book, and instead they would just take my practice quiz and copy my words word for word and put them on the exam. I really didn't feel that way. I felt like it was a study tool. I felt like it was a great way for students to double check themselves and to see what the right answer was, but I got overruled and I was asked to delete those in the practice quiz. So no, the answers aren't there, but they are from the book, and if you have any trouble finding those questions or you want me to just give you some feedback, I'm totally up for that. So send me an email with, you could say, last year there was a couple of students who actually answered all the short answer questions, wrote them all out, typed them out, and sent them to me and said, how do these look? Am I on the right track? Is there something more that I would put for the exam? And I was more than happy to go through that with students. So if you feel like you need that, like the questions you just can't find the right answer, you're not sure, please feel free to email me to give you some feedback. So looking at the exam, it's hard because I already sat down and made a huge podcast for an hour and somehow on this exam, and somehow it didn't record. So I'm kind of heartbroken that I have to do another one because the first one was just perfect, I thought. So this is take 2. When you're looking at, gosh, I don't even know where to start. When you're looking at range of motion, let's start there. So when you're looking at range of motion, you want to go through the chapter and you want to read what the indications are, the precautions. So why would you use passive range of motion with your patient? Why would it be helpful to the patient? Why would you use active range of motion? What are the indications? What are the precautions. Why would you use active assisted? Why would you use self-assisted range of motion? So your book does a great job of putting those in tables for you, and listing them. So you really do want to know what are the key points for the different types of range of motion and why you would use them and why they would be beneficial to the patient. There are a couple of shorter answer questions that are asking you to list just that. List for me indications of why you would use passive range of motion. How will that help a patient? Well, it prevents adhesions, it prevents joint stiffness, it improves nutrition to the articular surface, it improves synovial fluid movement, stimulates healing. When you think about someone who's had a joint replacement, they've had their knee replaced, it's very hot, it's very swollen, it's very guarded, the tissues are guarded, the muscles are guarding. So range of motion, passive range of motion, can help the patient to relax. It can help prevent blood clots because you're helping move the fluid to the tissues. Your book lists a number of things of why range of motion is helpful, why passive range of motion is helpful. So make sure you have a look at that. And why would you move a patient through passive range of motion to active assisted range of motion to active range of motion? So think about that concept. You could even think about that concept with a knee patient. I mean, I can use myself as an example. Like 5 years ago, I had a meniscus repair, and it was a really difficult surgery, believe it or not. And I really couldn't move my knee when I came home. It was guarded, it was painful,